97.1 FM, W246AT Bardstown, and 1320 AM, WBRT Bardstown. This is your hometown radio station. Wake up with Fred on 97.1 FM, 1320 AM, and WBRTCountry.com. Get your day started the right way with Fred Hagen on Bardstown and Nelson County's hometown radio, WBRT.
You're listening to Sylvia on WBRT.
Good morning, and thank you for keeping it right here on WBRT 1320 AM, 97.1 FM, and we are streaming worldwide at WBRTCountry.com and on the NelsonCountyGazette.com. We're also on Bardstown Cable, Channel 19. Welcome to this special edition of Local Community Scene. My colleague, Jim Brooks, joins us here in the studio, and Sherry Ballard is our guest this morning. Sherry is the mother of missing Bardstown woman Crystal Rogers and the wife of the late Tommy Ballard, who was fatally shot. Jim, thank you for coming. And Sherry, thank you for agreeing to come on to WBRT this morning.
You're very welcome.
Crystal Rogers went missing in July of 2015. That's 2 years and 2 months ago. When you first learned of this, what went through your mind?
When I first learned that Crystal was missing, it was that weekend, very busy weekend for a lot of people. I got a phone call from my granddaughter, and she was looking for her mom, and it wasn't like her mom not to call her. So I texted my daughter, and I just, you need to call your daughter. She's looking for you. And I didn't think anything else about it because it was a July 4th weekend. And I thought, well, maybe they're at a party or something and she's just not hearing her phone. I get a phone call later on that night, and she asked me again if I heard from her mom. And I said, no, she didn't call you. And I knew that was just not like my daughter. So I texted her again, and I told her, I said, Crystal, you need to call somebody. Then I started calling around the next morning and asking because with July 4th, people are busy. So it didn't, I took that minute to think, they're probably busy. And so the next morning I started calling around, and nobody heard from her. And my daughter called me Sunday morning, and she's like, Crystal still hasn't called me. And when she told me that, it was like one of the worst feelings that a mother could ever have. Because I knew then it wasn't just her, partying, because she had the kids had been to their other grandparents and stuff. And so I thought, well, she's just enjoying her time with her boyfriend, and I left it at that. But Sunday morning when I got the call, I knew that was not the issue. And I told my husband, I said, something's wrong. I feel it, I know. And my son and his wife had just got back from Green River, and they were at my home. And I was getting upset. And my husband told me, he said, Sherry, just go to the police. Me and Casey, which is my son, will go look for her. And that's when I went to look, to go to the police department. And on my way there, I passed Brooks Houck, who was her living boyfriend at the time. I flagged him down. Well, my granddaughter that was with me actually called him, and he agreed to stop at the Walmart gas pump. And we stopped there, and I walked over to his truck. He rolled the window down, and I asked him, I said, have you seen Crystal? And he said, no. And I looked to see who was in the vehicle with him. And I said, well, what, did y'all have a fight or something? And he said, no, she was kind of in a huffy. She did make the remark that I treat her other kids different than the child that they share together. He said, and I agreed with her on that. But he said they didn't fight about it. So immediately when he told me that, I knew there was something wrong. My daughter was not the type of person that did not contact her family, that would up and left her children. She was not that type of person.
And And after that occurred, when did you find out that Crystal's car was abandoned on the Bluegrass Parkway?
When we found that out, like when I left Brooks that day, I told him, I said, I'm going to the sheriff's department to file a missing persons report. And he looked at me like I could have been talking about someone off the street. And he said, I think that's what you should do. He never offered to go with me. He never said anything. He just left. And so I went up there later on that afternoon, maybe around 3 or 4, and I may be off on these times a little bit because I was very upset that day. We get a phone call saying that they think that they have spotted her car on the BG. They kept that information from me, my husband and son did, till they went and checked it, and then when they found out it was hers, then they told us. But her purse, her phone, her keys were still in her car. Just the nightmare continued, and but I knew from day one something was wrong.
What were your family and friends' speculations of what happened to Crystal? What were their thoughts?
That she did not leave, that there was foul play, and her living boyfriend was the last person to see her. Where was she? He gave us an answer that did not make sense. He told us he went to bed that night. She was up playing on her phone, which I don't think was the truth. And he wakes up and she's gone. I'm like, all right, the baby's up with her. You sat and said he doesn't sleep. He told that on Nancy Grace. So what did she do? Did she take that baby in there and lay him in bed with you and you never woke up? You never felt her? You never knew she was gone, till the next morning? She just gets up and disappears? I'm like, I don't believe that. I'll never believe that. But
you mentioned foul play. Foul play meaning kidnapping or possible
meaning
murder?
Something was done to my daughter that was not anything that she did to herself.
A number in the community know Crystal and knew of her. How do they describe her?
I have never heard anyone say a bad word about Crystal. Everyone that worked in the store that she worked at, they said she was very pleasant to be around.
Where did she work?
She worked at the 5-star right before you get to Bluegrass Seed out on Bloomfield Road. She worked there. But then she wasn't at that time. At that time, she had quit because she was doing Brooks's work for him, like his rental and all that. She had actually, before she was missing, she had actually went back to get that job, and she was supposed to start that Tuesday. She was quitting working for him, and she was going to get her job back and try to do it on her own.
What were your late husband's, Tommy's, speculations of what happened to Crystal?
My husband and I both speculated the same thing.
That there was foul play involved?
Yes. Yes, sir. We knew our daughter would never just get up and leave. My daughter was not the type that she would have never just up and left her family and not said anything. I mean, we were close family. She would never have done that. I'm so sure about that, I would have bet my life on that. That's how I know my daughter in that area, so.
Sherry, what do you think happened to Crystal?
In my opinion, I think Brooks Howe is guilty of what happened to my daughter. And I'm not just saying that because the Nelson County Sheriff's Office has released him as a suspect. I believe they're right. I've believed that from day one. I've never made that a secret. I've never made it a secret to Brooks how I feel.
What's his response to that?
I saw him in town one time at Lowe's, and I had talked to him, And I won't say the reason that I was talking to him. I'm not allowed to discuss that. But anyway, I was talking to him, and I told him before anything took place, I said, I just want you to know, before I can finish this conversation, I think you're guilty. I just had to get that out there. I could not look at him and not tell him how I felt. By the time the whole conversation was over, and I can't discuss the whole details, but he looked at me and told me, he said, I have more respect for you in the last 15 minutes than I have in your whole life. I didn't understand what he's talking about. I'm like, I don't even know what he's talking about. How can he sit here when I just told him I thought he was responsible for my daughter being gone, and he has more respect for me in the last 15 minutes than he has the whole time he's... I'll never understand him, never, but...
To you, has he ever seemed upset about Crystal's disappearance or concerned?
No, never. Never to me, never. But I don't talk to him. I don't have anything to do with him. But no, I mean, even through when we did the Nancy Grace interview, we said, you know, we are not that. Let me apologize for that. When we were searching for my daughter, and we said if he wants to help, you know, we'll put bygones. We'll if he wants to really show he's really supportive and helping, he never did anything. And even if he didn't want to help us, if you love your living girlfriend that you share a child with, if you love her, are you not going to get up your own search and go look for her? Are you just going to say, oh, okay, well, she's just gone? I don't understand that. I know everybody loves different, and maybe that's it. I don't know, but I've never seen any remorse ever from him.
And of course, since Crystal's disappearance, there have been a number of searches. Where have the searches been? How long have they lasted? And can you tell us who has assisted in the searches?
On all of our searches, the very first search we did that night was the night I reported her missing. We were out till 3 a.m. We went on the farm that backs up to the BG where her car was found. Mm-hmm. We searched that whole farm that night. It was very, very, very difficult because they were logging or cutting down timber on that farm or something, and it was so much to look at, and it was dark, and my son and my husband went and bought tons of flashlights at Walmart so we could have light, you know, just to see. And that was our very first search. Like I said, it lasted to 3 a.m. We had, probably 80 people that night that volunteered to help us, just the community and family. We did get in touch, a team from Florida, Cadaver Dogs. They met us one time down on 49. Law enforcement would not invite them in, so they came personally to us. They've been here like 17 times maybe helping us look. We have checked Nelson County, we have checked Marion County, we've checked Washington County, we've been to Tennessee, we've been all over the place. Any place we get a tip, we will go look for my daughter. We just got a tip when they searched the grandmother's, when they had the search warrant for the grandmother's farm, or house, home, and Whitesides the other day. We got a tip that, I say that weekend maybe. It might have been before that, but we just followed up with it because we had to get everything together. My son was actually, him and some family members was searching this morning a place that it didn't bring us any answers, but we will not leave anything unturned.
Sure, there's been over the last couple of years, there's been a tremendous outpouring of support, and it's, with these searches, I know that people have come in from outside the county, volunteers,
Yes.
because people are wanting to be a part of this to help find some resolution here, to help you.
You know, people ask me that question, how I feel about that, and I don't even know how to respond to that sometimes, because I feel me as one person could never give the support I have in this community, the community support, all the praise they need for helping me. Without them, we would have never been able to do all these searches. I just thank God for that every day. And I truly want them to know how much that very much meant to me and my husband and my whole family. And we have a team that, it's not anything huge, it's just, we had a team, Crystal, that these people, a handful of people, you know, people have to go back to work, they can't do everything, you know, they put their life on hold for me and my husband and my family, and I don't even know what to say for that, but this team has been with us, and anytime we called, they were there for us. If we weren't physically out searching, you can bet my husband was on the internet looking for the next place to search. He was very, very, very dedicated in finding our daughter, and as we should have been. And
Do you have any hope whatsoever that Crystal is still alive?
I don't ever give up that little piece of hope. I have to keep that hope alive for her kids.
And
I know it's very small, but God does perform miracles, and that's one that I won't let go of. So I do keep that little ray of hope.
Crystal does have children. Tell us
ma'am.
about them.
Crystal has, I have 4 of her children. She has 5 altogether. 4 of them live with me. They're doing very good for what we have been through. When this happened to their papa, it was starting all over again, but we didn't have a choice. So her children are very well behaved, very well loved children, and I'm very blessed to be able to take care of her kids.
Well, you guys, we do need to take a quick commercial break right now on local community scene. It's almost 11:30 as it is, and keep it right here. We'll be right back with more of this special edition from local community scene.
You're listening to Sylvia on WBRT. Listening to Sylvia on WBRT.
And welcome back to more local community scene right here on WBRT 1320 AM and 97.1 FM. We're also streaming online at WBRTcountry.com and on the NelsonCountyGazette.com. This special edition of Local Community Scene today has been brought to you by First Insurance Group. We're back with my colleague, Jim Brooks, and our guest this morning, Sherry Ballard. Again, thank you, Sherry, for coming on today.
You're very welcome.
And
Sherry, the Team Crystal, the family and supporters have done a great job by keeping referring to the signs, keeping Crystal's name, keeping this mission, this search for justice in the forefront in our community. And I think the support, I think, is community-wide. However, there have been some comments that, well, you know, of how that may be perceived by people visiting the town. And but more recently, and I think this has been probably been an issue all along, is signs being taken. And there recently was somebody was charged with in taking and some of the signs that mention support for the Ballards or Crystal. I think a woman was charged, and that person, I believe, was Brooks Houck's current girlfriend, I believe.
Yes, sir, it was.
What's that like to have people steal signs, destroy them? Because I think the community's fairly united, and we all want justice. The family deserves it, and I think that's universal.
Yeah.
We all want to see this come to a conclusion.
With the signs with Crystal, Mary Taylor at Liberty Tax has been great about that. She keeps the signs in normally, and she's super. This town's very blessed to have her. With the signs, we put those out. Somebody had to see my daughter's car on that BG. It was July 4th weekend. It's not a little weekend. It's a huge weekend. And that car did not just get there from the air. It got there somehow. So somebody had to see that. If there was a tourist that went through, somebody going on vacation saw that car, and they happened to stop in Bardstown and maybe recognize the sign and ask questions, and then if that would give us a tip for her car or anything. I don't think the people that made any of those remarks realized, or maybe they didn't take the time, I'm not sure, but what that meant to us to have those signs out there. We have worked with the city. We've tried to be in ordinance. If any of them was out of ordinance, we would move them. We would do what we needed to do. We did have the lady that was talking about the tourist. That was very, 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 very hurtful to us. We had another lady that was just stealing them for the fact that she was tired of hearing about Crystal. Well, I have a face to put with that Crystal. That's my daughter. So if you're tired of it, I'm sorry, I'm not. She's my daughter, and I will never get tired of her. So that was a little upsetting when she took all that. She was an older lady. I didn't press any charges against her. I let it go. I just wanted the signs back. Now, the latest incident is the live-in boyfriend, the live-in girlfriend of Brooks Houck. I'm infuriated with that. I will not cut any slack whatsoever. How can you live in the home with him and portray what you're supposed to and tear up my daughter's signs? How can you act like you're trying to help my daughter or help find her or anything when you're destroying something that may be a key to help finding her? If you think Brooks Houck is so innocent, why would you even want to tear up a sign that had anything to do with my daughter? Why wouldn't you want to put more signs out there and help our family try to find her and bring her back home?
Sherry, the signs have been part of our community now for more than 2 years. Have you heard from investigators that have the signs helped bring leads forward or information to the family or to investigators?
We've had a lot of people that have come by, and actually on one of those signs, there was one of the little tourist ladies stopped in town, and she stopped in one of the stores, and she's like, "What's the sign? What's up with all the pink crystal signs?" And they told her, and they were talking about, them saying that it's bad for the tourists, and she's like, to me it's better because it shows what a tight-knit community you are. And I don't know that personally one sign right off, but I've dealt with so much. Please forgive me if I'm saying this wrong. I don't know that maybe one sign has led to a specific search that we've had, but it has led people, I know when they see it, it keeps in their mind. And if anything comes up, they're going to remember that, and they're not going to forget that my daughter is just a missing person out there that's just disappeared. And those signs mean more to me than a lot of people understand. A whole lot more.
And like Jim was saying, the signs, standing with the Ballards, prayers for Crystal, keep her memory alive here locally in the community.
And that justice has not been served yet. That this is still an ongoing investigation, and I think prayers for Crystal and her family. I thought that's always appropriate.
Thank you very much for that. And justice has not been served, and I live for that every day. I live for finding my daughter every day. I do with everything in me believe one day I will find my daughter. I do believe I will get that justice. And
how would you like to get the justice?
Nothing will ever bring my daughter and my husband back. I realize that. But for some kind of justice for everything my husband went through to find my daughter, and for what my daughter possibly went through, that sometimes I can't even think about. For the people to pay that did this to her and him, the most punishment they could get would be what I would expect.
Before we went on the air, I mentioned about optimism, and you'd expressed that the optimism, looking for resolution, for closure, that kind of is what that keeps you going every day. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. And I have so many people that will walk up to me and just give me a hug, and tell me they're praying for my family. And if I don't keep my optimism, how are they going to keep theirs? How do I keep optimism for her children if I can't keep it for myself? So, yes, I'm very optimistic that one day we're going to get the answers that we need. And I just believe that with everything in me.
Sherry, you believe Brooks Houck had something to do with Crystal's disappearance. Do you believe more people were involved in that?
I believe it's more than just one little person. Yes, I do believe that.
Do you feel that there's a connection between the Crystal's case and what happened to your late husband, Tommy?
Yes, ma'am, I do. My personal opinion, I do believe that they're related.
Do you hear from investigators on any sort of regular basis or is it up to the family to make contact?
He never called me, anything. I saw them say anything to me at all. They're very tight, and I understand they explain that to me, and I'm okay with that. I'm sitting back, letting them do their job. And they have stuff to do, and if I'm calling every day, that's not helping them. It's just probably making them mad at me and getting their it should be on, and I'm totally okay with that. There's Detective Snow here in town. He's great. And his cell phone. For any question I have. Now, there's another detective. Does like his a lot, but he's very, very, very good at helping us do anything. So I can call them in the middle of the night, and I think they would answer my phone call.
Do you believe Crystal's disappearance in her case will ever be solved?
I have every hope that it will be solved. I don't know that I'll ever find her body. I'm not as optimistic about that as I am her case getting solved. But I do think that her case will be solved. Will it be tomorrow? Will it be when I want it to? Maybe not. But I do feel that coming.
And of course, her car was found abandoned on the Bluegrass Parkway the holiday weekend of July 4th, 2 years ago. What kind of car was she driving?
She had a maroon Malibu, or I'm sorry, Impala. It was a 4-door.
And if
Sorry,
anyone,
my husband tells me I'm never good at vehicles.
they can be tricky. But if anyone saw that car at that moment on the Bluegrass Parkway, who should they call and report that to?
Oh my gosh, they can call the Nelson County Sheriff's Department. If you're not, a lot of people don't want to get involved with law enforcement. My son's number was everywhere out there. I have a Facebook page. I have Messenger. You can private message me. If you don't want involved with law enforcement, we can work around that. If you have any tip at all, you can call KSP. There's an anonymous line there, I think, that you can get in touch with. There's several different routes that you can go, that you can give a tip, and you don't really have to, get involved personally if you don't want to.
Is there a search plan for Crystal in the near future?
We will search for Crystal anytime that we can. If the dogs come back out, whenever they get a chance, they're from Florida, so it's not just, and one of the cadaver ladies her and another one of her members, they just certified 2 other dogs. So they have 2 extra dogs now. Whenever they come back, we do have an area that we want to be searched. We physically walked over it. We've did a few other things on that property. We would like to get the dogs on that property. Very compacted and just perfect location. We haven't checked that area fully, so I would like to go there if they ever come, the next time they're back in town.
Sherry, I know that early on, and the media has brought this out, I know that the family hired a private investigator to pursue a lead to searching for some investigation. What was the reasoning behind the private investigator, and did any information that he brought forward, was it helpful in any way?
The reason we hired the private investigator, which that was pretty early on, we got a tip from someone that was incarcerated, and it was would have been huge. Not just on Crystal, it was more than just Crystal's case, but very scary. So we did hire the private eye because he went to that prison and he talked to this man. We didn't get any, I don't think that panned out the way we would have liked it to.
Right.
I don't know why people do that, but it didn't give us any answers that we were looking for. So we let that private eye go. We hired him only just for that one sole purpose.
Right.
And we do need to take another quick break right here on Local Community Scene. Again, thank you to all those out there who are watching and listening, and we'll be right back with this special edition. And welcome back to more Local Community Scene right here on WBRT 1320 AM and 97.1 FM. We're also on TV. We're on Bardstown Cable, Channel 19. And thanks so much for sticking with us on this special edition of Local Community Scene. My guest this morning is Sherry Ballard, and my colleague Jim Brooks is assisting this morning with Local Community Scene. And Sherry is the mother of Crystal Rogers, who went missing 2 years and 2 months ago, and also the wife of the late Tommy Ballard. Sherry, have you been threatened, or has any member of your family been threatened?
No, ma'am, I haven't personally been threatened. One time when we were searching, my husband someone tried to run him off the road. They did try to do that. Actually, it was Brooks Houck. on 49. He tried to run him off the road one time. I do have a witness to that. I'm not just saying that out of hearsay. I have a witness to that. But he did try to run him off the road once. We've not physically been, nobody's come up to us and threatened us. Law enforcement have told my husband and I that we're dealing with some very, very dangerous people, to be very careful. And when you are missing your daughter, you don't listen to that. You don't care. You just want your daughter, and you don't think about the danger you're in. So I don't care if I'm threatened. I'm gonna look for my daughter. I am gonna find justice for my husband. And that's just how it has to be, and I will do that till the day I die.
And Sherry, you have told other media that you believe your husband, your late husband, Tommy Ballard, was being followed in the days leading up to his death. What made you believe that?
Yes, ma'am, I personally know my husband was being followed because he told me that he was, but he didn't tell me as many times as he did several other people, because he didn't want me to worry. And I remember telling him one time he was followed to work. He was working in Lebanon building homes, and he told me someone followed him all the way to Lebanon, and I told him, I said, you do not need to be going there by yourself. And he was like, well, I have to work, we can't just. But men, they think they're invincible, and he was just focused. He was focused on finding our daughter and finding peace for our family. And
especially as a father.
Yes, ma'am. He was the best father anyone could ask for. Best husband.
And since the beginning of Tommy's death, which was in November of 2016, you were told by authorities that his death was no hunting accident. He was on a farm hunting. And when police told you that, Sherry, what was your initial thought?
They didn't have to tell me. I knew the minute I got the phone call, the minute I picked that phone up, I knew my husband was murdered. There was no doubt about that in my mind whatsoever. Never.
What would has there been any speculation about why he may have been targeted? Was by anyone?
My husband was very well liked, very well respected. I don't even know if he had an enemy. Personally, if you're asking me my opinion on my husband's death, I think it was a way to get him out of the way so he would quit looking for my daughter. They knew he was not going to stop. He had posted a post on Facebook about us going to the search. We had already made phone calls about that. The law enforcement there were very, very supportive of us. He made another post on my Facebook page that he was going to run for sheriff. That was like the week before that happened to him. I think he was stepping on toes. And I think someone just wanted him out of the way. And they know that I could not physically get out there and do some of the stuff that my husband did. And I think they were hoping it would hinder our investigation of Crystal or trying to find her.
Was the information acted on, the things he had in mind for a search? Has that been
Yes, sir.
Conducted?
Yes, sir. We had 2 places we wanted to search, and we have been there at that area. It's not in Kentucky, but we have been there personally to 2 different places, and we kind of ruled that out as we just had to go see for ourselves.
Sure.
And we feel pretty good about ruling that area out, that But then again, nobody knew where we were going. We did not put that on there where we were going. So whoever would have gotten that information would have had no clue as to where we were actually going.
Right.
So we could have had the wrong place, and maybe them think we had the right place, vice versa. So,
Sherry, on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you feel, or how frustrated are you that police haven't solved the cases of both Tommy and Crystal?
I wouldn't be a mother, I wouldn't be a wife if I didn't say I was very frustrated. I know they're working hard. I know they are. I know the first 2 weeks of an investigation are critical. I wished I could get those 2 weeks back that I can't. But I know they're making up for that now. They're doing everything that they can. I think with my husband's death, that has really put pressure on law enforcement. And I think they're doing everything that they can now to... I wished I could have got the help I needed before my husband was murdered.
Now, pardon me. And Sherry, I think you've sought national attention to Crystal's disappearance, and I think we're seeing some movement on that front. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. I have. From day one that Crystal's been missing, I've made so many phone calls to anybody that would listen. My husband and I was on Nancy Grace several times. We were on Good Morning America. I reached out to anybody that would listen to our story, and I begged for help. We are going to get national attention. I am praying that with national attention, it's getting out to everybody. Maybe we'll find that one person that saw something, and that just might help us. But yes, I'm very excited about that, and I'm just praying we get really good answers off of that.
And Sherry, of course, many in the community and region have been very supportive of you, your family, and in the efforts of finding Crystal and solving Tommy's murder. What would you like to say to all of those out there who are helping you and supporting you guys?
To the people that have helped us and supported us, I would love to just run your name off on a big list. It would take longer than this hour, I think, to do that, but I just want you to know that we deeply appreciate anything anybody has done for our family. And I know a lot of times, I might think Bardstown's not the best place to live at the moment. I can't really look at that like that, because I have to look at the big picture. What happened to my daughter and my husband could happen anywhere. But to get the outpour and everything that I've got from the community in this town, I don't think I could just find that just anywhere. So I am still in Bardstown, and I am very blessed to have the people here that I have, and I just hope that they know how deeply appreciative that we are of what they have done for my family.
Sherry, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
For coming on today. I know it's not been easy for you, your family, or your friends, and we appreciate you coming on today and sharing your thoughts and Crystal's story, Tommy's story. Thank you again.
You're very welcome. I very much appreciate you letting me come on.
And thank you, everyone, for listening and watching this special edition of Local Community Scene this morning on WBRT and Bardstown Cable Channel 19. Thanks again for all of your you're viewing and you're listening. And Jim, thank you for assisting the interview with us. This special edition of Local Community Scene today